Many of us have been learning a lot. How many of us have been having very insightful moments so far at the Financial Freedom webinar? We've had five so far, and this is the sixth. And I can assure you that I have been learning a lot. I have been having a super great time. You see, we have a couple of us on the call. Thank you, Aki. Thank you, Butema. Thank you, Ife. Thank you, Imo. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Dr. William. It's so good to have us. Do we have any first timers here? Do we have anyone who's joining us for the first time? This is your first time of joining the Active Financial Freedom webinar. We just want to welcome you and bring you up to speed everything that we have been up to over the last couple of weeks. The good thing is the replays are available. So if you miss any, and I mean any of the previous five sessions that we've done, you can always catch a replay. And today promises to be very insightful as usual. And we have a first timer, Maraisa K. Thank you so much. Where are you joining us from? Please let us know what country, what state, what city. Let us know if you're close to us. Oh, joining from London, Lucy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're super excited to have you join us. And I can tell you that of the questions in your heart when you saw the flyer, you will be responded to. So if you have any questions during the course of the program, please you can use the chat room and we will definitely send to you. So welcome once again and to every first timer who is on this call and who will be catching a replay. I want to say welcome, welcome. Is there anyone who would like to share their experience in the chat, how it has been this past couple of weeks? Has it been for you? Has it been insightful? Have you implemented new things? Have you seen noticed some changes? Have you implemented some of the tips and principles that have been shared so far on this call? Or you've just been listening and you know that it's not listeners that get blessed, it is doers. So please let me know which of the principles have you effected? You're the one that have to do with black taxes, remittances. Let us know which one, which one, which one, which one. Let's see. If you also care to share which of the webinar has been your favorites, it would be nice. I know everyone is a favorite, but there are some that, specifically maybe address your need or something that you've always had in mind. So today, we'll also have the opportunity to ask questions. So please, if you have any question that has to do with money or anything that you think that OC can respond to, please make sure that you register. Please inform your friends, your family, anybody around you that you think should be listening to this call. Please tell them about it, invite them, share the link with them as well. Let them join, let them learn. If you have your family around you, let them also join you. Take away every form of distraction. Over the past couple of weeks, we've had topics that had to do with transformation, starting with our mind, because we are the critical success factor when it comes to making money. And then we've gone on to how to prepare ourselves for making money. We've also spoken about how we earn income, asset accumulation. Last week, we spoke about our freedom number. And today is also going to be exciting. So it looks like we've been going through a cycle or we've been building a loop, right? And so it looks like we're going to be closing that loop. But let me read this comment from Imo. Imo says, from the series webinar, I have concluded that any money I can't let go and can't borrow my friends and family. Okay, so I think what you're trying to say is that any money that you can't let go of, you do not borrow people. And that's also a very, very important strategy. In fact, very perfect. If that's what you have learned, honestly, you're good to go. But definitely, you're going to learn something new again today to take it to notch higher. Please help me celebrate me more. And if you've also learned something you want to share with us, please do let us know. But like I said tonight, it looks like we're going to be closing the loop because it's not just about building wealth. It's not just about making money. Like Ochi has always said, anybody can make money. It's about keeping money. Are you able to keep money? Are you doing well? Are you able to manage and multiply and even protect this money? Anyways, wealth that is not properly taken care of is like water. When water is not in the container, it slips away, it dries up, you don't know where it goes to. Welcome once again to everyone joining us tonight, this afternoon, this morning, by your joining us from. We have our very own host and convener here with us, OC, who is a business and wealth creation expert or thought leader, and he has been doing it for over 2 decades. He's not a theoretician, he's a practitioner. He has run businesses, he has run careers, he's also paying it forward. He has a foundation. So if you're thinking about somebody who has been there, done that, and able to hold your hands and walk you through, OC is here for you. He's happy to share from his wisdom. So make sure that you are ready with your heart, your spirit, your soul, because OC is going to be taking off tonight, right? So you're going to definitely know that you're not just building wealth, you learn how to protect it, how to preserve it, and how to pass it on to the generation. So without further ado, if your hands are not too busy, your digital hands, please let's welcome with a round of applause. OC as he takes us tonight. As he takes us tonight.
Thank you, Stella.
OC, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and welcome everyone to this call. Before I proceed, I need to mention that this Monday to next week, Monday to Friday, we'll be starting our Achieve Financial Freedom Challenge, and it's going to be the last one for the year. So, because my schedule is just so crazy throughout the rest of the year, so I can't even wait to get it behind me as well. But that also means that whoever would love to be a part of that program would only be able to enroll in the coming year. Next year, it's likely to just happen twice because 2026 is already full with a lot of things. So I want to especially welcome you all. And I also want to thank you for taking the time every week to join us here. A special recognition to Pastor James, to Julius, Mr. Julius Adeoti, to Mr. Kimbo Boye, all of you powerful people, more, and then to our very Dr. Williams, good to have you, sir. Stephen Adidokun, then Botema, forgive me if I hope I pronounce your name well. I've noticed, then Ash, I've been noticing you most frequently. Thank you so much for joining. Let's sing Adewumi. I'm not so sure of that name, so forgive me. A lot of us don't enable our videos, so I remember faces. I rarely remember names, except I've tied your name to your face. That's when I remember them most frequently. To enroll, just send AFFC, send it to +1 470 708 4107. It's a WhatsApp number, so just send it there, and then they will give you all the payment details. And tonight is the last night for the enrollment. I don't think we should even be discussing enrollment today. I just want to continue, as my culture is, I want to continue to give out. In the coming weeks or months, I'm going to switch from Saturdays because my Saturdays now are also booked throughout the rest of the year. So I'm switching this weekly program to sometime within the week, but those dates will be communicated in due course. This program also is taking a new shape altogether, but we're working on some things behind the scene. We'll communicate to all of us within the community. So we still maintain the same structure, the same content, the same value. But again, what we're going to share, the dimension and the way we'll go about it is what is going to adjust, it's going to change, right? So today we want to look at something very crucial, and that is creating wealth is one, retaining it, protecting it is another altogether. And I'll start with a story, and I hope I have your attention. Please, if you can hear me loud and clear, and I have your attention, please just type 10. Just type 10 in the chat box. Type 10 in the chat box, just to be sure that you can hear me loud and clear. Please send those AFFC to WhatsApp number, not text. Send it as WhatsApp. So that's how you'll be able to get all the brand collaterals and materials. And for those of you who have already registered, I congratulate you. To be honest with you, I personally congratulate you, right? Because this program, I'm coming with full force. It's like, let me give you my Christmas package early. So that's the way I'm doing it. And if you know anybody that you feel should be a part of it, leverage your access to invite them to join so that they can register as well and enroll quickly. Okay. So I came from a very humble family, humble background. My parents were neither rich nor poor, but I had more memories of poverty, lack, and hardship. And that was what drove me to that point where I started thinking, why is it that some people always seem to have enough and we seem to never have enough? Um, I could count how many times I ate Christmas chicken or ate Christmas rice. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who grew up in Africa, I'm sure you can relate to what I'm saying. um, Christmas chicken, Christmas rice seem to taste differently, seem to taste uniquely. There's an environmental taste around chicken in Christmas and the jollof rice, And my mom was a very great cook. I mean, she still is. My point is this. Um, I still remember vividly how that because we did not have food, and our food is one of those basic needs in a home, in a family, we literally begged the house help of our neighbor, you know, for for cups of rice to be able to survive within a season. I'm not kidding. I'm not joking. You know, uh, I completely forgot. Sometimes when you have experienced so much transformation, sometimes you quickly forget some things that has happened to you. And what's revived this again for me was years ago we had a welfare outreach in our church, and we're putting together. Where I was part of the committee planning that welfare outreach, and we're discussing what we're going to give to families, people that come, and all of those things. And then one of the members of the committee was of the opinion that we should give one derica of rice, 1 cup of rice, so that we can extend it to more people. And I thought within myself that what difference would that make in a family and all of that? And the person said, ha ha, you don't have an idea what manner of miracle that 1 derica, 1 derica of 1 kilogram of rice, would mean to such a family. Then the moment the person said it, it just struck a chord. All of us have some significant emotional experiences that helps us to register and remember things that happened to us when an event that had happened before occurs again. It triggers memory, it triggers the emotion you once felt, right? And that's essentially what is trauma. trauma, when you have been traumatized and something happens, somebody says something, it triggers something that you have been through or you have gone through, you've experienced. And that was exactly what happened. It wasn't really a light bulb moment because it wasn't a new revelation. It was just a trigger for something that I'd experienced before. So it made me to remember and recollect all the moments when we had to do 0, 1, 0, we had to do 0, 0. You fast by compulsion, fast by circumstance, fast, it's the situation we found ourselves. So my mom trained us to fast. But in retrospect, I can tell now that it was because we didn't have so much. So because at age 7, I was already fasting. I was a fasting machine at age 7, right? And I have experienced being sent away from school because we didn't pay school fees on time or we didn't pay at all. I've experienced all that. So when people are telling me the color of poverty, the taste of poverty, I've experienced it all. So I can't be intimidated by poverty. So you can understand why I now came to a point. And again, my mom shared this experience with me when I was much younger. Like when I was like 2, 3 years old, that those days, whenever we never had a car when I was growing up, never really had a car. I was already an adult before, you know, I was already like 22 or 23 before both of them got a car. So you can understand my growing up. So I'm sharing this so that we can understand why I do what I do and why I'm this committed and why this has become my own life mission. she says to me that when I was 2, 3 years old, those days, Molue is like a mass transit bus, a rugged kind of bus in Lagos, Nigeria. That once we need to commute, go somewhere, and we enter that bus, I feel very uncomfortable. I'm usually the first person to jump up as young as that age. He said, but whenever she decided, well, we are going for a very special occasion, they will take a taxi, and that I usually find it, I usually feel reluctant coming down from the car. Telling you that even as a young kid, my tastes bud have been wired for prosperity. I've not been wired for poverty. Perhaps God sent me to that family to come and liberate and break. And I mean, I can't even say perhaps, it's the reality now. By the grace of God, God has used me in many, many dimensions. And I've decided to make it a global thing. And that's why we do what it is that we do. Now, I share that story to help you understand that was what sparked my hunger for knowledge, because I wanted to know, why were my classmates' school fees paid earlier than our school fees? Why was it? Do you believe that even by the time I was writing my final high school exam, right, I borrowed money to pay for that exam? Now, some people may not be, I mean, my story has changed, and my children will never experience that type of a thing, lie in their life. They don't even know what it looks like, right? But I borrowed money. Still remember, Kunle Kadejo was the one who loaned me 3,000 naira to register for my work. We were two of us in our class who couldn't pay our school fees, who couldn't pay for that registration. The other guy couldn't. He couldn't. He had nobody to help him. But I had Kunle Kadejo until tomorrow. It's one of the reasons why I'm grateful to God for that moment, right? But of course, that was what propelled me and served as a trigger for most of the things that I do and the passion with which I do it, right? You don't need to pay me to fulfill this mission. You don't need to massage my ego, patronize me. It's not about that. It's about when you are disempowered economically, it leaves you with fewer options or no options at all. Money gives you options. You can do a lot more good when you are financially empowered. But when you don't, when you are not, it reduces you to a commodity. And you are very vulnerable in such situation, in such circumstance. And that's pretty much why I am so committed. Now, based on these experiences, I gave myself to learning. I submitted to mentorship. I was always going for seminars, conferences, anywhere they are teaching anything. I go, sit down, learn. I was buying books, reading, developing myself. I still do that till today, till tomorrow. Till tomorrow. And so my biggest asset today is not even any property anywhere in the world. It is my library. So I am so passionate about it. It's something that's so integral to me. If you relate with me and you don't cherish knowledge, you don't cherish wisdom, you don't cherish insight, we may not be able to work together for long. All right? We won't be able to work together for long. And so I soon became, you know, a millionaire. I mean, by the time I was age 26, before age 27, I was already a multi-millionaire in Nigerian naira. And I could say I was a 6-figure, 7-figure earner, in dollars at the time. Dollar was probably maybe 80 naira or 70 or 75 naira to a dollar. So for you to be earning millions at that time, I mean, you are not doing badly at all, globally speaking, right? And I brought in a lot of value to the organization I was working with at the time. And also, so there were so many things that was happening in my life, but I soon became broke. I soon became broke. I had learned and mastered how to make money. But what I hadn't mastered was how to retain and sustain it. So I learned firsthand that any dummy, any fool can make money. As long as you solve problems, as long as you are meeting needs in the lives of people, as long as you are adding value, solving problems, money will gravitate in your direction. right? Money will gravitate toward you. But that is not high income is not a security for poverty or against poverty. High income, big pay, seven-figure income is not an insurance against poverty and lack. So, but I've come to realize that the ability to retain and sustain it requires a higher level of wisdom. And it's also part of the things I did. So by the time I got married, I was already a multi-millionaire. I was doing really pretty well, but I learned some critical lessons. One of such lessons I've shared in time past on this call is that I started to dole out a lot of resources. Once you are in trouble, just once you call me, I can't hear that you are in trouble. I carry it on my head. So no structure. So I didn't set the agenda for the money. So people set the agenda for me. So when I say those things, it is because of my experiences. I'm not saying it to insult anybody. It's because I'm using myself as an example. And so, cut the long story short, I began to, make all the financial mistakes. I started giving money out recklessly. I started enabling irresponsibility. I threw money at things that people should take responsibility for. I had no structure, And guess what? I was doing it, and they thought whoever was benefiting from my reckless giving believed that I had some more. And that's why I can say today, if you like, give everything you have. For you to give that much, anybody you gave it to, believe that, number one, they are the only ones that you are helping. Number two, for you to have given them that much, then there must be some more on ground. People never knew that I went out of my way to close accounts, to shut down savings because I wanted to help them. But I realized that I was foolish because ultimately I became broke like everybody else, and neither of us could help each other. So I realized that, okay, now I'm incapacitated. I can't help myself, neither can I help other people. And I realized that was no longer the solution. The practical solution was to create. So that's pretty much what I want to share with us today, to show you some of the steps I now took in breaking free, and I'm still on the journey. When I say on the journey, by the grace of God, God has helped us enough now to build massive portfolio of assets. So even if I decided to be selling it once, just sell per year, what we have, I think it can still last 100 years. That's how much God has helped us. Now, I'm not saying this to intimidate anybody. I'm just letting you know. But my eyes is not on 100 years. My eyes is not on me, myself, and I. My eyes is on how many more people, especially among African communities in the diaspora, because I know a great majority of us migrated with the intention to seek greener pastures. And now it appears as though the math is not mathing. And you know what I'm talking about. It's not mathing at all, right? The moment you relocated, everybody believed that you have broken through, but you knew that when you finally arrived, you knew the stress and the struggle. And we have touched on all of this. So I want to show us something which I've shared before, but I just want to begin from there because it's important for us to know exactly the category of people and that I'm speaking to in this particular segment. Let me share my screen. If you can see it, let me know. Can you see my screen?
Coming up there.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, it's reachable.
Good.
Yes.
Now, many of us here should be familiar with this. I'm going to go in depth during the Achieve Financial Freedom Challenge, and I would deep dive into it. But let me just quickly race through it. I needed to tell you that story because I believe that if you have ever, it's better to be broke, hoping to be rich, than to be rich and be broke again. It's not an emotionally satisfying experience to have, right? At the time I became broke, I was still driving a brand new car. A car that I could no longer fuel. And I looked rich, but I was broke at that time. And I knew what my situation was. The only person or people that knew was my spouse, was my mentor, because I now had to go and say, sir, I'm in trouble. Because before I entered this trouble, he had recommended buy this number of properties, even before I got married. I should buy this number of properties, given the kind of resources I had. Buy this number. They are just building this. There was this new estate that was being built at the time, Diamond Estate, somewhere in Limosho local government. And those properties were selling for 4.5 million per unit. I should just buy like 5, stay in one, let the other one be bringing rent. That was his recommendation. I was telling him, sir, you don't understand. Every time he refers to that experience for me, I just don't live in the past anymore because I now know better, right? And that's this part of the reason why I'm giving this recommendation. So I became broke and I started struggling. One key lesson I learned from what led me to that crisis was never share your oil, only share your light. No matter how generous you are trying to be, only share a portion of your proceeds, not what is producing the proceeds. Am I making sense here? Never share you are free to distribute the income. Don't share your capital. Don't joke with your assets. Prioritize assets. The oil is what fuels the light. If you run out of oil, the light will certainly go out. So you are free to share the light, but don't share the oil. Preserve your oil. Protect your oil. That was one of the lessons I learned during the period of my boom. And I should have just consolidated more on that and leveraged that to increase, right? Subsequently. But I failed that test because I had not learned better. And it was good for me because I was still younger. I was still in my 20s. I was still in my 20s. I was still young. I was still less than 30 at the time. So I had to plan my comeback. And I made up my mind that what I was going to do, right, was going to be when I crack this code, it's going to be my mission to share my story of how I came from a broke background, became a millionaire, became broke again, and then bounced back. All right. And what is the key security, all right, to everything else that I now built is what I want to share with you today. And I'll go in depth also during the Achieve Financial Freedom Challenge. Now, this diagram that you have on the screen shows you 5 levels in your journey to financial freedom. The first level is crisis, financial crisis. And this is where majority of people are. Now, when a person is not making money, they are bound to start, begging for money. When they run out of people to beg from, they start borrowing money. When they run out of people to borrow from, they start cutting corners and compromising and scamming people and defrauding people. Some of you here probably received some calls from some people a few days ago, calling you for a meeting, telling you to send a code. They want to hack your phone. Those are scammers. They are in financial crisis. They've run out of people to beg from. They've run out of people to borrow from. The only thing left in the option, the option that they had was to defraud people. And thankfully, they even called me. Can you see how silly and stupid they were? They called the founder of the platform. And say, I'm from Chief Financial Freedom July edition. Can you imagine? When I say, oh, that's good. That's good. I initially said, no, sorry, repeat it again. But I'm just trying to let you know that once you don't make money, you are vulnerable to messing up. Listen, it's until you are in a situation where the only way out is compromise. That's when you can say, no, I will never do it. And that's why I always say that adversity is the truest test of integrity. Okay, right. So, and some of us have gone through that several times over, and then God has helped us. We have maintained our stand. Now, so financial crisis is that point where you are not making money, but because all of us are gifted spenders, we spend money. So it's either coming from borrowed funds or begged funds or compromised funds. Do you understand? So that spells crisis. Okay. But there's a small population of people who could also be in financial crisis by reason of the fact that they have built a significant portfolio of fixed assets, but those fixed assets are low in cash flow or poor in cash flow. Those category of people could also be in financial crisis, but they are a very small proportion. But a large proportion of people who are in financial crisis are people who don't make money at all. And we have too many of such people idling away with time, busybodies, gossip, they do nothing, they have no value, right? They are not adding value to themselves, neither are they adding value to the society. In fact, they are a menace to the society because an idle mind ultimately is the devil's workshop. So that's where you find a lot of people. And that's why I always encourage parents, make it a point of duty to set your children up, not just to go to school, but to acquire skills. Acquire skills that can not only put food on the table, but help them to add value to society and the community. That's the first level. The second level is instability, financial instability. These are category of people whose take home doesn't take them home, right? They have many months before the money even comes. So it's like when they get the pay is settling past. It's not even settling things forward. It's settling things back in the past. And that is the situation for people in financial instability. The third level is financial stability. Now, these are people who have maintained some degree of financial equilibrium. Their take home is taking them home. They live fairly comfortably, and all of that. Okay. But the challenge with people in this category is that should anything tamper with their source of active income, they will be back to financial instability or financial crisis. In other words, what is keeping them? These are the category of people we consider to be financially, to be rich in Africa, in Nigeria in particular. We call them rich. But the reality is that they are not really rich. It's as long as they maintain their jobs that they will be regarded as rich. And so that's the level for people in financial stability. The fourth level are those who are considered to be financially independent. Now, financial independence is that point in your life where the proceeds from your assets and investments is not only capable of meeting your personal and family needs, but okay. So financial independence is the point in your life where the proceeds from your assets and investment can meet your personal and family needs. In other words, if you earn $60,000 a year, you'll be regarded financially independent if you have accumulated assets that produce $60,000 every year. So that whether or not you work, money continues to flow. So at this point in your life, you are not just working for necessity, you are working for fun. And everybody can make that their priority. Now, the goal is not financial independence at the AFFC. The goal is financial freedom. Now, financial freedom, which is the peak of this journey, is the point in one's life where the proceeds from your asset and investment is not only capable of meeting your personal and family needs alone, but it's also able to extend goodness and kindness to others. Okay, that is financial freedom. Now, understanding that, last week we talked about calculating your financial freedom number. So how will you know that you are financially free? How can you determine what you need to start doing? That's what we talked about. And I really want to recommend you go and watch the replay. But I still just touched the surface. At the Achieve Financial Freedom Challenge or more, I'll deep dive, right? And you have every right to say, sorry, you have not shared this in details. I need more explanation, all right? And I promise you, it's going to be a bomb, right? Now, depending on where you are, and it's important that you know all this so that you start describing where you are on this journey. Are you in financial crisis or in financial instability or financial stability, or you are in financial independence or in financial freedom? Describe yourself and be honest. I say it all the time. The worst form of deception is self-deception. Anybody can deceive anybody, but please don't deceive thyself. Now, if somebody is in financial crisis or financial instability, there are two important things they need to start to do. Number one is aggressive mental revolution. You see it here. Aggressive mental revolution. You need a mind shift. There's a thinking pattern that keeps people broke. We need to uninstall that. And that's what we typically do day one of the Achieve Financial Freedom Challenge. We focus on personal transformation because we recognize that who you are determines, what you do. Listen, you don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. You don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. If you remain who you have always been, you will get the result you have always gotten. So the revolution does not, the transformation does not begin from outside. It does not begin from the exterior. It begins from within. Wealth is not created outside in, it's created inside out. All right? I love the way Dr. Sam Adeyemi used to put it. He says, you can't travel within and stay stationary or, stay in one spot externally. Okay? And this is so important. So aggressive mental revolution and then skill development. That is what is missing for this category of people for the most part. You are earning this much because this is where your skill level is. Now, for some of us, we have skill, especially those of us in diaspora. You have the right skill, but you don't have the documentation. So the issues that you need to resolve will not be a skill issue. It will be a documentation issue. All right? So, it's important for you to define it because not all of us are skillless, right? But if you have skill, but you don't have the right documentation or you don't have the immigrant status that can permit you to work at a certain level, then you will not be able to attract that level of income. And that's why I always recommend, let's do it right, right? It may be more expensive, but it will give you peace of mind. It may take long, but it's better, okay? And I'm not offering, I'm not an immigration attorney, so that's not my purpose here, but skill development, which is what I think is most relevant for a lot of people. Because what I've seen is that the school system doesn't necessarily give us skill. Real skill. That's why majority of the institutions, corporate organizations, invest heavily in retraining graduates. If the job has been done in the university, why should they still have academies in those institutions? From GT Bank to Access Bank to all the banks in Nigeria to even Dangote, all of them have their own training school, so that they can retrain people to fit in for what needs to be done. So, but when people leave those organizations, some of them are even able to do some things for themselves because of the skills they have acquired. Listen, I say to people all the time, there are 3 things you get when you work for others. One of them will not live with you. Only 2 will live with you. Number 1, the 3 things are money, which is usually the basis upon which people settle for any job, both whether in diaspora or at home. Number 2 is network. Number 3 is skill. Guess what? When you stop working in that organization, the money will stop flowing. But you had better develop skill. You had better develop network. Some of the guys that I know that are doing some amazing things, both on a global scale and on local scale, are people who had their backgrounds in, I was listening to this lady recently, Yetunde Zacchaeus, and she talked about how that she was company secretary for EcoBank. She was she had worked in a law firm before she started her own event management business, and she's doing amazingly well. Right, her business is doing extremely well. Now, what are they leveraging? They are leveraging not just skill, and they are leveraging their network. Of course, whatever money they made during the period of their work, they also save some money, right? So we need to understand that. So aggressive mental revolution, you need to change. I cannot overemphasize the importance of radical change in mindset. I can't. I have conversations with people from time to time. I can perceive the thinking pattern, the thinking from afar, right? And once I perceive it just makes me to know, okay, how far do I really want to go with this person? right? Right. So, and there's a way to handle that, and we deal with that extensively during the Achieve Financial Freedom Challenge. So please, if you have not, make sure you take advantage of that. Now, for people in financial stability whose take home are taking them home, some of them even have some savings, right? Some of them even, have one or two properties, have some investment here and there, small something, right? What do they need at that stage of their life? They need to manage and multiply money that converts their active income into passive income. That is what people in financial stability. So if you are a 6-figure income earner, 7-figure income earner, your biggest challenge is that you may be spending more than you earn or spending as you earn. The challenge, however, is that you are not building anything, and should anything tamper with your current source of income, you'll be back to financial instability or crisis. To prevent that, you need to start living as though you are financially unstable, but growing your investment as though you are already independent or free. Your vision should be that I should be able to stop working without anything being affected. Am I communicating here at all? And listen, if you are anywhere between financial instability and crisis, or if you are between crisis and stability, this program was designed for you. Now, let me say this. The reason rich people are rich is because they acquire income-producing assets. The reason poor people are poor or broke people are broke is because they are their only income-producing assets. If you are your only income-producing asset, it means that the day you are sacked, your income has been sacked, period. Is that correct? So, but if you want to move from stability to independence and freedom, then we need to set up a proper structure for managing your resources even before they show up. That's why we talk about personal preparation also in day 2. And then on day 3 and 4, we focus on how you can make a lot of money and then multiply it. All right. Now, when you become financially independent, when you're already beginning to see that, okay, the proceeds from your assets and investments can actually replace your active income. You earn $100,000 a year, but now your investment is giving you $100,000 a year. Then you can be regarded as financially independent. At that level, what we just need to do is to optimize and retain the assets, what is producing, the goal, what's that statement again? The goose, is it goose or geese that lays the eggs, right? You preserve it, you nurture it, you take care of it, right? And that's exactly what we ought to do at this point. You want to also make sure that, well, if you, for example, you own assets, all right, that are giving you maybe annual rental income annually, we should be able to begin to think of how can we optimize it to give you monthly income, right, and higher income. So if, for example, you are doing 10% annually in rental income, how can we move it to 20%? That's optimization. That's what we'll be discussing at that level. And more importantly, retain. Now, it may have taken you 5 years, 10 years to build up those portfolio of assets, but it will not take anything for fire to bring it down. Under such circumstance, ensuring your assets is extremely critical. You can't do so much Ijebu. You can't behave so you can't be so stingy to the point where you now ignore insurance for your property that is producing cash flow for you. And then when fire raise it down, you say it's village people. No, it's lack of wisdom. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Because really what you'll be paying in premium can be part of your cost, or can be built into your rental income that you're generating. I mean, that is even Nigeria too is adjusting in many ways. The Lagos State government, for example, you can't build a property now that will not have insurance. Even while construction is going on, you need a contractor's risk insurance. When you finish the property, that property must be insured. It's the same thing. So in the UK, in the US, it's a standard practice. You can't, it's unavoidable, right? Of course, there are people who have built houses that did not insure the property and then it created crisis. I had someone who bought a property years back, and for some strange reason, because they were planning to sell the property, they failed to renew the insurance. Unfortunately, the house was gutted with fire and came crashing down. So my point is, you want to optimize and retain. So everything that you need to do to retain, to optimize, are the things that we also share during the Achieve Financial Freedom Challenge. And this is typically on day 5. Now, when you have attained financial freedom, we want to talk about scaling it. We want to talk about protecting it. And that's what today is really about, protecting it. But because my time is already fast spent, I can only tell you, join the next class, join the next cohort. Protecting it means protecting your legacy, all right? Setting up trusts, right? The age and time that we live in right now is not the age of writing will, quote and unquote. The processes may look simpler, but it creates more complications. But when you set up a trust, you set the rules of how resources will be distributed while preserving the main thing that's producing it. You can preserve it for generations. That's what most of these guys, the Rockefellers and co, have done. And there are people even in Africa who have done likewise. And you as well can do the same, so that you won't eventually labor so hard, become wealthy, achieve financial freedom, but you have not protected your asset, because it is only someone that is alive that can dictate how the resources should be distributed. It's not a dead person. Unfortunately, there are people who labored all their lives building up the portfolio of assets, but never created a structure, a system in place to manage the resources for generations. So even if all you accumulated is just $10 million at the end of the day, it's still wisdom to design how it should be protected and how it should scale. You can decide that in that trust, that part of the instruction is that 20% of that, of whatever is generated, should be recapitalized for compound effect, and the remaining 80% should be distributed in this manner. You can even say, 100 children should go to school every year on account of what is coming here, that are not even related to you, that are not connected to you. The other one should be distributed to all my children, my grandchildren, or you can remove your children, the 4th generation, and start from the grandchildren, right? It can be part of the plan. You can say the education, the college education of your grandchildren is going to be funded from. You can set everything up, right? Time won't permit me to get into that, but one other critical thing I have noticed, which you need the most, especially when you are in crisis to stability, is life insurance. If time permits during the Achieve Financial Freedom Challenge, I'll talk more about that. But now listen, life insurance, that my concept, my idea is not the regular one that you are familiar with, or not the one that you use insurance as savings scheme, that's not my ideology. So I will bust your bubble if you think that that's what I'm going to come and talk about. And I'm not selling insurance. I'm not an insurance agent. So I'm going to tell you the truth you need to hear. All right? Because once you don't yet have asset and anything happens to you, your family will be exposed. That is when you need insurance the most, right? And so we will talk more in details during the Achieve Financial Freedom. I hope I was able to make some sense. I hope I was able to show us share some tips that will be helpful. I look forward to all of you joining the next cohort, because that's the last one for the year. I promise you on that one. The next one will be next year, but we'll communicate the date. It doesn't mean that we'll still not be having meetings from time to time, weekly. Yeah, but that will be all for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, OSP. That was very, very
I
insightful.
think you might need to remove your AirPod.
Oh,
We're not hearing you clearly enough. I don't know if everybody agrees with me on that too.
Can you hear me now, sir?
Better.
Thank you very, very much, Osi. That was really spot on, very insightful. Something that really stood out for me, one of the comments that you made is the fact that high income is not a security against poverty. Because I think that that's something that a lot of people just do. "Oh, because I earn a lot of money, I am rich." Well, do. That's really false. It's like an illusion. That really jumped out for me. And I'm sure a lot of people on this show also resonate with this, that it takes more than just money for you to say that you are wealthy. That really stood out for me. Thank you so much for sharing that. Also, like besides that, you mentioned some patterns, like different things you need to pay attention to. I don't know if we have any questions. Let's give us the opportunity to ask questions. Do you have questions in the audience? Any clarifications? Anything you're not clear about? Okay, so while we're thinking of the question, I have a question for Uchi. And that question will be, okay, what do you think is the biggest fears when it comes to keeping wealth that people are using? Is there something that they are afraid of? Why are they afraid of? What is that
I'm
fear?
not I'm not hearing you so clearly, but if you can, I think you should do without your AirPod.
Oh, thanks.
Maybe the network is affecting it. I don't
Okay, is
know.
it better now, sir?
I'm hearing you. I don't know if my voice is loud, but okay. So can you repeat the question again? I think it's a network issue and it's affecting the um,
Can you hear me now, sir?
yes, I can hear you. So what's the
Okay.
question again?
So I was saying, what do you think is the biggest fear when it comes to keeping wealth that people are building? Why do you think they are afraid? Is there something that is making them not keep their wealth, the wealth that they are building?
The wealth they are building, why are they afraid to keep it?
Yes.
It's not fear. Knowledge eliminates fear, right? So I think it is ignorance. It's not fear that is preventing them from keeping what the wealth they are building. It's just ignorance, sheer ignorance, right? Sometimes people feel, for example, now if you want to set up a trust in the United States of America, you want to do it properly, right? You need to spend a couple of, some tens of thousands of dollars if you hire a proper expert in that field to do the setup. Do you understand? So some people would rather do it their way, ignore paying, and that can affect, right? And in the UK, and I know it's also the same in the US, there's what is called inheritance tax, which can be as much as 40 or 35% thereabouts. So the labor you have labored, somebody else will benefit from it. But if you set it up properly, everything can be preserved for the entire family. Do you get? So I think it's not fear, it is ignorance, right? Where fear comes in is the fear to even create the wealth in the first instance, because it will require taking risk. It will require postponed gratification. You will lose some. I can tell you that one. When it comes to wealth creation, show me anybody who has created any measure of wealth anywhere in the world who has not lost money. None. And guess what? You can't play big if you play safe. Yes, do your research, do your analysis, but that does not prevent some losses here and there. But it's all part of the process. It's all part of the making. Okay? So I don't know if I answered that question.
Yes, sir, you did. And that was very, very insightful. Ash is also saying when someone starts amassing wealth, they don't want to spare any money on costly extras. Do you think that's a true assessment?
Repeat that again, please.
Ash is saying that when a person starts amassing wealth, they do not
Yes.
want to take on any costly extras.
Oh, sure. That's really the truth. I mentioned that as well. Very, very spot on, very correct. So while you are thinking you are cutting costs, you are actually shortchanging yourself. What you did not pay in legal fees, you will pay in lawsuits. I hope you know, even with accountants, you have a CPA and all of those things. There's what we call tax strategies. Tax strategy should precede audits. So tax strategy will show how to classify all your income, how to treat revenue, and all of those things. But some people will not hire a tax consultant to give them the strategy they will deploy. And then as money comes, I remember one of my clients, a coaching client, we did some work for him and he was telling me he was going to be paying maybe almost $100,000 as taxes, personal income tax. And that's how much did he make and all of those things. I was just sitting down. I said, if your tax consultant said, bring 10,000, let us structure how to classify this thing. Would you have paid it? He said, no. I said, now you are going to now pay this 100,000, whether you like it or not. And that's really what happens most times. So I believe in cost saving. I don't believe in cost cutting. Cost cutting is harmful. Cost saving is beneficial, highly profitable. And there are two different things, right? When you cut costs, you are going to pay it multiple times over later on. But when you save costs, you are paying it forward. You are solving a bigger problem by paying something smaller today. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, sir. I really like that. That was really great. I like that. I like the part where you mentioned you can't play big if you play safe. Really, really spot on. So I trust that this has been an insightful session for everyone here. Wealth is easy to lose when there is no structure. So you need to know that that wealth that you're building, you should protect it, you should preserve it, and you should pass it on to your generation. And also mentioned different tips. What he mentioned about optimizations, he also mentioned about retention and protection. Over the course of this series that we've been doing, he has mentioned all of this, and it's important that we take advantage of the Achieve Financial Freedom Challenge starting this Monday. If you know you're on this call and you're going to be in that session, you're going to be with us all through the week. Can I see our response in the chat room?
Just type AFFC in the chat room if you are already registered and you are joining us. Even if you are just going to be paying, write AFFC. Just type AFFC. Let's just know.
Sorry.
Mr. Julius wants to say something.
Okay, please go ahead.
You can unmute, sir.
We can't hear you, sir, Mr. Julius. Okay, I can't hear Mr. Julius. I don't know if anyone can hear him. But while we're waiting for him, I'll just read what Ash says. Ash says, it is true. I've just signed up to AFFC. You have taught me sense since I started joining these meetings. I've just paid for a survey, which I believe the Lord is going to use to bless me. So AFFC is Achieve Financial Freedom Challenge. This session that you're attending is the Achieve Financial Freedom webinar. It's a series of webinars that leads to the Achieve Financial Freedom Challenge. It's a 5-day challenge where we talk about everything that has to do with making money, managing money, multiplying money, and also preserving money. And OC is the one who's going to be handling these sessions where we talk and respond to any financial or fiduciary questions that you have. It has to do with, we start with your mindset first, because that is where it all starts from. So if your mind is ready, then you can properly prepare. Then we talk about personal preparation, checking some of the habits that have hindered you thus far. And then we go ahead to talk about your income. is your income structure? Do you have multiple streams of income? Now that you are earning an income, are you accumulating assets? If you're accumulating your assets, are you properly optimizing your assets? Are you properly retaining your assets? And are you safeguarding them? That's what AFFC is about. For the person asking, it goes for $150 for those who register within the brackets that we have given. And I think that window of opportunity is still available, but you need to register within this period. I don't know if OC has anything to say.
Just send AFFC to that number, and it will be taken care of. This last edition, I'm pouring my soul, and each day may take 2 to 3 hours. 3 hours actually may take 3 hours each day, for this. So brace up, prepare yourself, avoid every distraction from Monday, 11 a.m. EST, or 4 p.m. West African or UK time. Will be live, and we'll be going 2 hours minimum, 3 hours, and be taking it line upon line, precept upon precept. We'll build on it and all of that. And I truly believe God and trust God that to be live with transforming experience, there's no need to talk. I mean, what we have been doing the last couple of weeks, right, is free. If you have derived any value from any of those sessions, then imagine what will now happen when we do the paid session, right? So, yep, Mr. Julius.
Yeah, OC, thank you very much for giving me the 2 minutes. I have 2 questions.
Yes, sir.
The first question is that with all your experiences that you went through, from nothing to something, back to nothing, and then come up to be somebody.
Yes, sir.
Will you coach anybody to go? Let's say somebody is like 18 years old. Will you coach that person to go through that experience that you went through? Or are you going to coach that person to avoid all those experiences?
It's to avoid
because,
it.
Yes, to avoid it. If you coach that person to avoid it, eventually, they said, who is your teacher? The most important thing in life is that actually, even our Jesus Christ went through a lot. And most of the Christians don't want to go through 1% of what Jesus Christ went through. And they want to be performing miracles.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to get from this point is that actually, whatever anybody will become in life, you have to go through certain experience for you to become whatever God wants you to become.
Yes.
But what we are lacking in Africa is the word mentorship, which Jesus Christ came to this world to mentor us. We lack mentorship, which you are now representing a mentor for some of us now, because you are teaching us through your experience, just to make us to be able just to go through whatever we are going through and be able to come out in a very, very good way like you did. So that is what I just want to say, that actually, even if we are coaching anybody, there is no way that person should say that, okay, I will be problem free. I will not go through all those losses. I will not go through all those hardship. I will not go through all those things. So that is question number 1. You've already answered that one. Question number 2 is this one. Now I have all the wealthy people, including you. Even you mentioned it when we were talking today. Say, I don't want any of my children to go through all what I went through. I usually pray that if they don't go through, then how would they become somebody greater than you? That's my question.
Okay,
if
sir.
They don't go,
okay, go ahead, sir.
If they don't go through what you went through, how on earth are we expecting that they will be greater than you?
Yeah.
Invariably, that actually they have everything and they have everything straight through and all those things. With our experience that actually most of those people are children of the wealthy people that we know, even in Nigeria, that we know everybody. None of them could be able just to survive it. Once the owner or the father or the parent who are bona fide wealthy people pass away. So because they did not, they were saying the same thing that you were saying. And they were carrying it along with them. And then they make those children to be helpless because they don't go through any experience. So there is no way they can know how to handle that well.
Yeah.
That's my question.
I totally agree with you, sir. So I believe you've made a point. So there is no training. And mind you, the time I became a millionaire, a multi-millionaire, I had the mentor already. And let me be honest with you, the mentor warned me. So it wasn't as though he did not tell me, do this, do that. I just did not obey. Do you understand? And that is the same thing that would happen. So when we are sharing, you know, we are able to see further because we stand on the shoulders of those who have gone ahead of us. When you have coaching, you know, I say it all the time, direction is superior to speed. Anytime, any day. You get a lot of that from coaching and mentorship. But beyond that, coaching and mentorship collapses time. It shrinks time. What took some mentor 20 years, 10 years, can take you 1 year because you are leveraging their wisdom. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about. And that's pretty much the purpose of that. So it's not, and then guess what? Every one of us, no matter how much with which we start, we'll go through our own process. Some people may not go through financial challenge. It may be a health crisis. It may be a relational crisis. And whether you like it or not, our lives is so attached. So it can just be greater and deeper tragedy when you have both financial crisis, you have health crisis, and you have relational crisis all at the same time, right? And there are people who have been through that. The point is that we always either come out better or come out bitter. You understand? So it is a function of our response. And that's really where the coaching will come in from. That, see, no matter what I teach you, you will go through your process, right? And I've been through all sorts. In spite of all the glamour, in spite of the growth, in spite of the breakthroughs, right? I've also been through challenges, major ones that have tested my core values, tested me to the root. Do you understand what I'm talking about? And if I did not have the shape and form of character in the beginning, to be honest with you, I would not even be here teaching or sharing anything, right? So I truly agree with you that we cannot prevent them from going through. As a matter of fact, I expose them to fire. My children, I expose them to fire. Tell you, see, you want to do this? No. This is the way you do it. As long as you are still under my roof, this is how we will do it. This is the direction, right? And they will learn from their obedience. They will learn also from their disobedience. The same way I have learned. And I'm sure that that's also going to apply to everybody. I'm truly sorry. I will not be able to take further question. But, you know, I've not seen this phase before. Mr. Dewale, can you just ask in 30 seconds? In fact, in 10 seconds. Ask your question in 10 seconds.
Okay, thank you, Osi. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. So the question I want to ask is that, though I'm speaking to you from Manchester in the United Kingdom, and I know I've worked with you about 20 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, AIMS Asset.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I just stumbled on this link this evening. I just decided to spot on it. So my question is, I would like to be a member, or maybe we can have a time to chat sometimes later. But because of the nature of my job, I may not be available on that 4 p.m. you called for United Kingdom time. I just want to ask, what are the other options that you've got?
Yes, you'll get the replays. You'll get the replay for like 2 weeks. The replays are going to be made available for 2 weeks. And that's what I still would recommend you go for. My mentorship program is quite pricey, so that will not be the recommendation for now. So, but you can take advantage of this one for now.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you on Monday. I need to jump into another meeting. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.